You like Halloween? You like D&D? Well, there is a D&D setting, Ravenloft. Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, Photo D. Government time we're another nerd in the hobby toku anime. But we're still in the summer of D&D settings, and we're going to talk about D&D's last first edition setting, but it's technically second edition, so that's why we're doing late, and that is Ravenloft. Mike, Magic Friends, explain.
So Ravenloft was originally a campaign that was kind of in this weird in-between space and didn't have its own plane. And then in second edition, it really got its own fully fleshed out world, which is Barovia.
Yes. Barovia is led by Lord Strahd. If you play Ravenloft Adventure, you know who Lord Strahd is because Curse of Strahd, aka 5th edition's take on it, is really good. And also, this setting uses a lot of tarot cards. If you like JoJo Part 3, like myself, you know what the tarot card's importance is for that show. But, you know, the Fool, the Star, or whatever. But that's another show.
Mm-hmm. And the tarot cards end up being mechanics of the gameplay as opposed to just being features that are kind of like exist or like clues that you find. We're actually talking about like you draw the tarot cards to get different powers and buffs and curses in the game.
Correct. I did not realize that, but I knew a little, but let's not talk about it.
And then our main character in this is going to be Baron von Strahd.
Yeah, which is basically our Dracula. God damn it. Sorry, that was a Black Dracula joke.
Strahd is actually someone who's trapped in Barovia. The Ravenloft is actually not a plane, but it's like a whole bunch of prisons for some of the worst, nastiest people who exist.
Yes.
And instead of trapping them like in a jail cell where they'd want to get out, they trap them where they're just the ruler of an area, but they still want to get out, but they never can find a way.
Correct.
And it kind of makes it that they have a lot of schemes where they're trying to get out all the time. There's a mummy lord on a different section. There's a
few others like werewolves and Frankenstein.
That's it. There's a Frankenstein guy who's like building his own creations.
Yeah.
But each of them's in their own city that's isolated by
the fog. A fog-like thing called the whatever.
The Mist.
Yeah, the Mist.
And the Mist is full of horrors. It's full of like aberrations and mutants and things that you wouldn't want to ever fight.
Right, like including Vecna. And like if saw episode 1, we did explain Vecna second edition had a trilogy, but really this part is the least important, and that is the Vecna part 2, which is just a in-betweener. Next, when we get to Planescape, we will talk about the major one, but this is just filler. I won't explain much about it.
Yeah, so technically Barovia is connected to all the planes.
Yes.
Which is why we waited till now to talk about it, because we kind of had to talk about Greyhawk and Faerun and all those before we could tie everything together, because there's a section for Vecna that Vecna was able to break out of by becoming a god, and that's the only way that you can get strong enough to break out. There's a section for one of the Dragon Lords of Krynn, Lord Soth, that's like an undead Dragon Lord.
Yeah.
And they imprisoned him here because it's a prison for the most evil people run by the most evil of gods.
Yes, this is the Guantanamo Bay of D&D.
That's a good example. Yeah. It's like the Guantanamo Bay of D&D. You have the nasty, like the Alcatraz of D&D.
Yes. God.
With that, the adventurers a lot of times end up here because they've been pulled here once they get very powerful.
Yeah.
To do what, Cody?
To slay monsters and kick butt like freaking Valhalla thing. Well, and I did not swear with that.
Well, a lot of times they're pulled into these realms by these, like they call them Dark Lords.
Yes, the Dark Lords.
And the Dark Lords are pulling them in because they think maybe these adventurers can help me get out.
Right. It's like your classic horror movie villain trying to escape entity like your Freddy Krueger's, but done in with more universal way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and if you wanted to, you could set up your own section that was based on any of the classic Gothic horrors.
Or slashers, but slashers is kind of tricky in like 2nd edition wording, but now in 5th edition, I think one of the differences is they added slasher stuff, I think.
Yeah, but if you ever wanted to put a jigsaw into your D&D game, this is the perfect place to do it.
Yes, jigsaw.
A whole city that's just full of jigsaw puzzles.
Hello.
If you wanted to do Freddy, you could do a whole city that's based off of a nightmare and a dream. Yeah. And like, if you fall asleep, you're still awake, but you're still in the city, but the whole city's mutated.
Right. I got that stupid robot.
You could have a whole realm that's just a campsite.
Right.
And Jason is chasing you
obviously.
around.
This setting is one of the greatest of horror D&D. And next time, before we talk about next time, let's talk about some of the adventures of it. Just to know, there's not a lot for this setting that ain't the normal book or what I said, Curse of Strahd being the 5th edition version.
Well, there's 3 major ones.
Yeah.
In 2nd edition, we have Castle Strahd.
Yes.
And Castle Strahd is there is one in 1st edition, but it's just like a couple like small it's
Ravenloft.
Little paper books.
The Ravenloft books are not really canon for the setting version.
Right, because they haven't put them in a realm yet.
Right. But you still count them as like an origin story for Strahd. If that sounds confusing, that kind of is, but I'm simplifying it.
That makes sense.
As a good way.
It makes sense that the first one that you played in 1st edition was just kind of like an origin story. This one's the first time Strahd tries to escape in 2nd edition.
Correct.
3rd edition is called Expedition to Castle Ravenloft.
Yes.
And that is the actual like, hey, you're finally going to go try to kill Strahd. You don't succeed.
Yes.
Spoilers.
And that was the last major adventure of regular D&D 3.5 before Paizo came out and with Pathfinder. But that's another story.
And ironically, that was the first book that hinted to people that 3.5 was ending, because the story-driven methodology that they used was different than all the other books they had written for 3.5. And it simulated what they did here in 2nd edition by having Ravenloft kind of be... In 2nd edition, you had a lot of stuff in Greyhawk and Faerun. And towards the end of 2nd edition, they started coming out with a lot of new realms. And people were like, Plane Chase or Planescape and Spelljammer and Ravenloft. Those are all like very new settings.
Yes, and we're going to talk about one of them next time, which is Spelljammer, the space of D&D.
Right. And so when people look back and they're like, well, last time you printed Ravenloft and Spelljammer and like some dead settings, and then you switched to 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Well, now 3rd edition, here comes Ravenloft. Here comes Cody's favorite, Dark Sun.
Yeah.
And
which that's not until 4th.
Right. But they're like, here comes all these old edition stuff. Are you guys going to print a 4th edition? And Wizards of the Coast, who owns... At this time, this is also right around where Wizards of the Coast starts looking at buying the rights to this, is as we switch over to 3rd edition.
Yeah.
And Wizards is like, no, we won't be printing new editions. And then like 6 months later, they're like, yeah, we're printing a new edition.
Yeah, basically that's a weird fact I didn't realize, because I didn't get into D&D like until like the same time 4th edition was a thing. And that was my real impression of D&D was around beginning of 4th edition. But that's another story for another day. But the point is,
and then we have one more version, which is the newest one, called
Curse of Strahd.
Right.
Which is a remake of the original adventure, but it uses the old canon of it. And there's also a Ravenloft setting for 5th edition, but that's another story for another day.
Yep.
Hope you like the video. Again, below. If you like Ravenloft, the Halloween setting of D&D, leave a comment down below. And next time, we're going to talk about Spelljammer, the space of D&D. Just come on saying bye-bye for now.